say everything I command you. And your brother Aaron is to tell Pharaoh to let the Israelites go out of his country. But I will harden Pharaoh's heart, and though I will multiply my miraculous signs and wonders in Egypt, he will not listen to you. Then I will lay my hand on Egypt, and with a mighty acts of judgment, I'll bring out my divisions, my people, the Israelites. And the Egyptians will know that I am the Lord when I stretch out my hand against Egypt and bring the Israelites out of it. Moses and Aaron did as the Lord commanded them. Moses was 80 years old, and Aaron 83 when they spoke to Pharaoh. The Lord said to Moses and Aaron, when Pharaoh says to you, perform a miracle, then say to Aaron, take your staff and throw it down before Pharaoh, and it will become a snake. And so Moses and Aaron went to Pharaoh and did just as the Lord commanded. Aaron threw his staff down in front of Pharaoh and his officials, and it became a snake. Pharaoh summoned wise men and sorcerers, and the Egyptian magicians also did the same things by their secrets. Each threw down his staff, and it became a snake. But Aaron's staff swallowed their staffs. Yet Pharaoh's heart became hard, and he would not listen to them, just as the Lord had said. Cool. And then the Lord said to Moses, Pharaoh's heart is unyielding. He refuses to let people go. Go to Pharaoh in the morning as he goes out in the water. Wait on the bank of the Nile to meet him, and take in your hand the staff that was changed into a snake. Then say to him, the Lord, the God of the Hebrews, has sent me to say to you, let my people go, so that they may worship me in the desert. But until now you have not listened. This is what the Lord says. By this you will know that I am the Lord. With the staff that is in my hand, I will strike the water of the Nile, and it will be changed to blood. The fish in the Nile will die, and the river will sink. The Egyptians will not be able to drink its water. The Lord said to Moses, take Aaron, take your staff and stretch out your hand over the waters of Egypt, over the streams and canals, over the pond and all the reservoirs, and they will turn to blood. Blood will be everywhere in Egypt, even in the wooden buckets and stone jars. Moses and Aaron did just as the Lord commanded. He raised his staff in the presence of Pharaoh and his officials and struck the water of the Nile, and all the water changed into blood. The fish of the Nile in the Nile died, and the river smelled bad, that the Egyptians could not drink its water. Blood was everywhere in Egypt. But the Egyptian magicians did the same things by their secret arts, and Pharaoh's heart became hard. He would not listen to Moses and Aaron just as the Lord had said. Instead, he turned and went into his place, and did not take even this to heart. And all the Egyptians dug along the Nile to get drinking water, because they could not drink the water of the river. 7 days passed. The Lord struck the Nile. シャア・モーセに仰せられた。見よ、私はあなたをパロに対して神とし、あなたの兄、アロンはあなたの預言者となる。あなたは私の命じごとを皆告げなければならない。あなたの兄、アロンはパロに、イスラエルの人をこの国から出て行かせるようにと告げなければならない。私はパロの心を堅くなにし、私の印と不思議をエジプトの地で多く行う。パロがあなた方の言うことを聞けないなら、私は手をエジプトの上に置き、大きな裁きによって、私の集団、私の民イスラエル人をエジプトの地から連れ出す。私が手をエジプトの上に伸ばし、イスラエル人を彼らの真ん中に連れ出すとき、エジプトは私が主であることを知るようになる。そこでモーセとアロンはそうした。主が命じられた通りにした。彼らがパロに語ったとき、モーセは80歳、アロンは88歳であった。私はモーセとアロンに仰せられた。パロがあなた方にお前たちの不思議を行いというとき、あなたはアロンにその杖を取ってパロの前に投げようと言わなければならない。それは蛇になる。モーセとアロンはパロのところに行き、主が命じられた通りに行った。アロンが自分の杖をパロとその家臣たちの前に投げたとき、それは蛇になった。そこでパロも知恵のある者と呪術者を呼び寄せた。これらのエジプト人の呪法師たちもまた彼らの秘術を使って同じことをした。彼らがめいめい自分の杖を投げると、それが蛇になった。しかしアロンの杖は彼らの杖を飲み込んだ。それでもパロの心はかなくなになり、彼らの言うことを聞き入れなかった。主は仰せられた通りである。主はモーセに仰せられた。パウの心は強情で民を生かせることを拒んでいる。あなたは朝、パウのところに行け。見よ、彼は水のところに出てくる。あなたはナイルの岸に立って彼を迎えよう。そして蛇に変わったあの杖を手に取って、 彼に言わなければならない。ヘブル人の神、主はあなたに使わして仰せられます。私と民を生かせ、彼らに荒野で私に使いさせよう。しかし、あなたは今までお聞きになりませんでした。主はこう仰せられます。あなたは次のことによって、私が主であることを知るようになる。ご覧ください。私は手に持っている杖でナイルの水を打ちます。水は血に変わり、ナイルの魚は死に、ナイルは臭くなり、エジプト人はナイルの水をもう飲むことを忌み嫌うようになります。主はまたモーセに仰せられた。あなたアロンに言え、あなたの杖を取り、手をエジプトの水の上、その川流れ行け、その他のすべての水の集まっているところの上に差し伸ばしなさい。そうすれば精は地となる。またエジプト全土にわたって、木の器や石の器も、地があるようになる。モーセとアロンは主が命じられた通りに行った。彼はパノとその家臣の目の前で杖を上げ、ナイルの水を打った。すると、ナイルの水はことごとく血に変わった。ナイルの王は死に、ナイルは臭くなり、エジプト人はナイルの水を飲むことはできなくなった。エジプト全土にわたって血があった。しかし、エジプトの呪法師たちも彼らの秘術を使って同じことをした。せいでパロの心は堅くなになり、彼らの言うことを聞こうとはしなかった。主の言われた通りである。パロは身を隠して自分の家に入り、これに心を止めなかった。全エジプトは水を飲み求めて、ナイルのあたりを掘った。彼らはナイルの水を飲むことはできなかったからである。主はナイルを打たれてから7日が満ちた。Then the Lord said to Moses, Go to Pharaoh and say to him, This is what the Lord says, Let my people go, so that they may worship me. If you refuse to let them go, I will plague your whole country with frogs. The Nile will teem with frogs. They will come up into your palace, in your bedroom, and onto your bed, into your house, into the houses of your officials, and on your people, and into your ovens and netting troughs. The frogs will go up on you and your people and all your officials. Then the Lord said to Moses, Tell Aaron, stretch out your hand with your staff over the streams and canals and ponds, and make frogs come up on the land of Egypt. So Aaron stretched out his hand over the waters of Egypt, and the frogs came up and covered the land. But the magicians did the same things by their secret arts. They also made frogs come up on the land of Egypt. Pharaoh summoned Moses and Aaron and said, Pray to the Lord to take the frogs away from me and my people, and I will let your people go to offer sacrifices to the Lord. Moses said to Pharaoh, I leave to you the honor of setting the time for me to pray for you and your officials and your people, that you and your houses may be rid of the frogs, except for those that remain in the Nile. Tomorrow, Pharaoh said. Moses replied, It will be as you say, so that you may know that there is no one like the Lord our God. The frogs will leave you and your houses, your officials and your people. They will remain only in the Nile. And after Moses and Aaron left Pharaoh, Moses cried out to the Lord about the frogs he had brought on Pharaoh. And the Lord did what Moses asked. The frogs died in the houses and in the courtyards and in the fields. They were piled into heaps, and the land reeked of them. But when Pharaoh saw that there was relief, he hardened his heart and would not listen to Moses and Aaron, just as the Lord had said. Then the Lord said to Moses, Tell Aaron, stretch out your staff and strike the dust of the ground. Through the land of Egypt, the dust will become gnats. They did this, and when Aaron stretched out his hand with the staff and struck the dust of the ground, the gnats came upon men and animals. All the dust throughout the land of Egypt became gnats. But when the magicians tried to produce gnats by their secret arts, they could not, and the gnats were on men and animals. The magician said to Pharaoh, This is the finger of God. But Pharaoh's heart was hard, and he would not listen, just as the Lord had said. Then the Lord said to Moses, Get up early in the morning and confront Pharaoh as he goes to the water, and say to him, This is what the Lord says, Let my people go so that they may worship me. If you do not let my people go, I will send swarms of flies on you and your officials, on your people and into your houses. The houses of the Egyptians will be full of flies, and even the ground where they are. But on that day, I will deal differently with the land of Goshen, where my people live. No swarms of flies will be there, so that you will know that I, the Lord, am in the land. I'll make a distinction between my people and your people. This miraculous sign will occur tomorrow. And the Lord did this. dense swarm of flies poured into Pharaoh's palace and into the houses of his officials, and throughout Egypt the land was ruined by flies. Then Pharaoh summoned Moses and Aaron and said, "Go sacrifice to your God here in the land." But Moses said, "That would not be right. The sacrifices we offer the Lord our God would be detestable to the Egyptians. And if we offer sacrifices that are detestable in their eyes, will they not stone us? We must take a 3 days journey into the desert to offer sacrifices to the Lord our God, as he commanded us." Pharaoh said, "I will let you go to offer sacrifices to the Lord your God in the desert, but you must not go very far. Now pray for me." Moses answered, "As soon as I leave you, I will pray to the Lord, and tomorrow the flies will leave Pharaoh and his officials and his people. Only be sure that Pharaoh does not act deceitfully again by not letting the people go to offer sacrifices to the Lord." Then Moses left Pharaoh and prayed to the Lord, and the Lord did what Moses asked. The flies left Pharaoh and his officials and his people. Not a fly remained. But this time also Pharaoh hardened his heart and would not let the people go. シャア・モーセに仰せられた。パウのもとに行って言え。シャアこうせられます。私の民を生かせ。彼らに私に仕えさせるようにせよ。もしあなたが生かせることを拒むなら見よ。私はあなたの全領土をカエルを持って撃つ。カエルがナイルに群がり、登っていってあなたの家に入る。あなたの寝室に、あなたの寝台に、あなたの家臣の家に、あなたの民の中に、あなたのかまどに、あなたのこね鉢に入る。こうしてカエルはあなたとあなたの民とあなたのすべての家臣の上に這い上がる。シャア・モーセに仰せられたアロンに言え、あなたの手に杖を持ち、川の上、流れの上、池の上に差し伸ばし、カエルをエジプトの地に這い上がらせなさい。アロンが手をエジプトの水の上に差し伸ばすと、カエルが這い上がってエジプトの地を覆った。司法師たちも彼の秘術を使って同じようにカエルをエジプトの地の上に這い上がらせた。パロはモーセとアロンを呼び寄せていった。カエルを私と私の民のところから覗くように主に祈れ。そうすれば私はこの民を生かせる。彼らは主に生贄を捧げることができる。モーセはパロに言った。カエルがあなたとあなたの家から断ち切られ、ナイルにだけ残るように、あなたとあなたの家臣とあなたの民のために、私がいつ祈ったらよいのか、どうぞ言いつけてください。パロが明日と言ったので、モーセは言った。あなたの言葉通りになりますように、私たちの神、主のような方は他にはないことをあなたが知るためです。カエルはあなたとあなたの家とあなたの家臣とあなたの民から離れて、ナイルにだけ残りましょう。こうしてモーセとアロンはパロのところから出てきた。モーセは自分がパロに約束したカエルのことについて主に叫んだ。主はモーセの言葉通りにされたので、カエルは家と庭と畑から死に絶えた。人々はそれらをまた山の積み上げたので、地は臭くなった。ところがパロは息つく暇のできたのを見て、強情になり、彼らの言うことを聞き入れなかった。主の言われた通りである。主はモーセに仰せられた。アロンに言え、あなたの杖を差し伸ばして、地の塵を打て。そうすれば、それはエジプトの全土でブヨとなろう。そこで彼らはそのように行った。アロンは手を差し伸ばして、杖の地の塵を打った。すると、ブヨは人や獣についた。地の塵は皆、エジプト全土でブヨとなった。司法師たちもブヨを出そうと、彼らの秘術を使って同じようにしたができなかった。ブヨは人や獣についた。そこで司法師たちはパロに、これは神の指ですと言った。しかし、パロの心は堅くなになり、彼らの言うことを聞き入れなかった。主に言われた通りである。主はモーセに仰せられた。明日の朝早く、パロの前に出よう。見よ、彼は水のところに出てくる。彼にこう言え。主はこうせられます。私の民を生かせ。彼らを私に使わせよう。もしあなた方が私の民を生かせないなら、さあ私はアブの群れをあなたとあなたの家臣とあなたの民の中に、またあなたの家の中に放つ。エジプトの家々も彼らがいる土地もアブの群れで満ちる。私はその日、私の民がとどまっているゴシェンの地を特別に扱い、そこにはアブの群れがないようにする。それは主である私がその地の真ん中にいることをあなたが知るためである。私は私の民とあなたの民との間を区別して救いを置く。明日この印が起こる。 主はそのようにされたので、おびただしいアブの群れがパロの家と家臣の家とに入ってきた。エジプトの全土に渡り、主はアブの群れによって荒れ果てた。パロはモーセとアロンと呼び寄せていった。さあ、この国内でお前たちの神に生贄を捧げよう。モーセは答えた。そうすることはとてもできません。なぜなら私たちの神、主にエジプト人の忌み嫌うものを生贄として捧げるからです。もし私たちがエジプト人の目の前でその忌み嫌うものを生贄として捧げるなら、彼らは私を石で撃ち殺しはしないでしょうか。そして私たちは荒野に3日の道のりの旅をして、私たちの神、主に生贄を捧げなければなりません。これは主が私たちにお命じになることです。パロは言った。私はお前たちに行かせよう。お前たちは荒野でお前たちの神、主に生贄を捧げるがよい。ただ決して遠くへ行ってはならない。私のために祈ってくれ。モーセは言った。それでは私はあなたのところから出て行きます。私は主に祈ります。明日、アブがパロとその家臣とその民から離れます。ただ、パロは重ねて欺かないようにしてください。民が主に生贄を捧げに行かないようにしてください。モーセはパロのところから出て行って主に祈った。主はモーセに願った通りにされたので、アブはパロンとその家臣を呼び、その民から離れた。一匹も残らなかった。しかし、パロはこの時も強情になり、民を行かせなかった。Then the Lord said to Moses, Go to Pharaoh and say to him, This is what the Lord, the God of the Hebrews, says. Let my people go so that they may worship me. If you refuse to let them go and continue to hold them back, the hand of the Lord will bring a terrible plague on your livestock in the field and on your horses and on the donkeys and camels and on your cattle and sheep and goats. But the Lord will make a distinction between the livestock of Israel and that of Egypt, so that no animal belonging to the Israelites will die. The Lord set a time and said, Tomorrow the Lord will do this in the land. And the next day the Lord did it. All the livestock of the Egyptians died, but not one of the animal belonging to Egyptians died. Pharaoh sent men to investigate and found that not even one of the animals of the Israelites had died. Yet his heart was unyielding, and he would not let the people go. Then the Lord said to Moses and Aaron, Take handfuls of soot from the furnace and have Moses toss it into the air in the presence of Pharaoh. It will become fine dust over the whole land of Egypt, and festering boils will break out on men and animals throughout the land. So they took the soot from the furnace and stood before Pharaoh. Moses tossed it into the air, and festering boils broke out on men and the animals. The Egyptians could not stand before Moses because of the boils that were on them and on all the Egyptians. But the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart, and he would not listen to Moses and Aaron, just as the Lord had said to Moses. Then the Lord said to Moses, Get up early in the morning and confront Pharaoh and say to him, This is what the Lord, the God of the Hebrews, says. Let my people go so that they may worship me. Or this time I will send the full force of my plagues against you and against your officials and your people, so that you may know that there is no one like me in all the earth. For by now I could have stretched out my hand and struck you and your people with a plague that would have wiped you off the earth. But I raised you up for this very purpose, that I might show you my power, and that my name might be proclaimed in all the earth. You still set yourself against my people and will not let them go. Therefore, at this time tomorrow, I will send the worst hailstorm that has ever fallen on Egypt, from the day it was founded till now. Give an order now to bring your livestock and everything you have in the field to a place of shelter, because the hail will fall on every man and animal that has not been brought in and is still in the field, and they will die. Those officials of Pharaoh who feared the word of the Lord hurried to bring their slaves and their livestock inside. But those who ignored the word of the Lord left their slaves and livestock in the field. Then the Lord said to Moses, Stretch out your hand towards the sky, so that hail will fall all over Egypt, on men and animals, and on everything growing in the fields of Egypt. When Moses stretched out his staff towards the sky, the Lord sent thunder and hail. Lightning flashed down to the ground. So the Lord raised hail on the land of Egypt. Hail fell and lightning flashed back and forth. It was the worst storm in all the land of Egypt since it had become a nation. Throughout Egypt, hail struck everything in the fields, both men and animals. It beat down everything growing in the fields and stripped every tree. The only place it did not hail was in the land of Goshen, where the Israelites were. Then Moses summoned Moses and Aaron. This time I have sinned, he said to them. The Lord is right, and I and my people are in the wrong. Pray to the Lord, for we have had enough thunder and hail. I will let you go. Don't have to stay here any long. You don't have to stay here any longer. Moses replied, When I have gone out of the city, I'll spread out my hands in prayer to the Lord. Thunder will stop, and there will be no more hail. So you may know that the earth is the Lord's, but I know you and your officials still do not fear the Lord. The flax and barley were destroyed, since the barley had headed and the flax was in bloom. The wheat and the spelt, however, were not destroyed, because they ripened later. Then Moses and Pharaoh went out of the city. He spread out his hand towards the Lord, and thunder and hail stopped, and the rain no longer poured down on the ground. When Pharaoh saw that the rain and the hail and the thunder stopped, he sinned again. He and his officials hardened their hearts. So Pharaoh's heart was hard, and he would not let their Israelites go, just as the Lord had said through Moses. シャア・モーセに仰せられた。パウのところに行って、彼に言え、ヘブル人の神、シャアをこうせられます。私の民を行かせて、彼らを私に使わせよう。もしあなたが行かせることを拒み、なおも彼らをとどめておくなら、見よ、主の手は、野にいるあなたの家畜馬、ロバ、ラクダ、牛羊の上に下り、非常に激しい疫病が起こる。しかし主はイスラエルの家畜とエジプトの家畜とを区別する。せいでイスラエル人の家畜は一頭も死なない。また主は時を定めて仰せられた。明日主はこの国でこのことを行う。主は翌日のこのことをされたので、エジプトの家畜はことごとく死に、イスラエル人の家畜は一頭も死ななかった。パロは使いをやった。するとイスラエル人の家畜は一頭も死んでいなかった。せいでもパロの心は強情で民を生かせなかった。主はモーセとアロンに仰せられた。あなた方はかまどのすすを両手いっぱいに取れ。モーセはパロの前でそれを天に向けて撒き散らせ。それがエジプトの全土にわたって細かい埃となると、エジプト全土の人と獣につき、海の出る種物となる。それで彼らはかまどのすすを取ってパロの前に立ち、モーセはそれを天に向けて撒き散らした。するとそれは人と獣につき、海の出る種物となった。受法師たちは種物のためにモーセの前に立つことはできなかった。種物が受法師たちとすべてのエジプト人にできたからである。しかしモーセは主はパロの心をかたくなにされ、彼はまた二人の言うことを聞けなかった。主はモーセに言われた通りである。主はモーセに仰せられた。明日の朝早くパロの前に立ち、彼に言え、ヘブル人の神、主はこう仰せられます。私の民を生かせ、彼らは私に使いわせよう。今度は私はあなたとあなたの家臣とあなたの民とに私のすべての災害を送る。私のようなものは地のどこにもいないことをあなたに知らせるためである。私が今手を伸ばしてあなたとあなたの民の疫病で打つなら、あなたは地から消し去られる。それにもかかわらず、私は私の力をあなたに示すためにあなたを立てておく。また私の名を全地に告げ知らせるためである。あなたはまだ私の民に対して高ぶっており、彼らを生かせようとしない。さあ、今度は明日の今頃、エジプトにおいて、建国の日以来、今までになかった極めて激しい氷を私は降らせる。それゆえ、今すぐ使いをやり、あなたの家畜、あなたが持っている野にあるすべてのものを避難させよう。野にいて家へ連れ戻すことのできない人や、獣は皆、氷が落ちてくることを死んでしまう。パロの家臣のうちで主の言葉を恐れた者は、しもべたちと家畜の家に避難させた。しかし、主の言葉を心に留めなかった者は、しもべたちは家畜をそのままのに残した。聖霊者はモーセに仰せられた。あなたの手を天に向けて差し伸ばせ。そうすれば、エジプト全土にわたって、人獣またエジプトの地のすべての野の草の上に氷河が降る。モーセが杖を天に向けて差し伸ばすと、主は雷と雹を送り、火が地に向かって走った。主はエジプトの国に雹を降らせた。雹が降り、雹のただ中を火がひらめき渡った。建国以来、エジプトの国中どこにもそのようなことはなかった。 極めて激しいものであった。今日はエジプトを全土にわたって、人をはじめ獣に至るまで野にいるすべてのものを打ち、また野の草を皆打った。野の木もほどごとく打ち砕いた。ただ、イスラエル人が住むゴシェンの地には氷が降らなかった。そこでパロは使いをやって、モーセとアロンを呼び寄せ、彼らに言った。今度は私は罪を犯した。主は正しいお方だ。私と私の民は悪者だ。主に祈ってくれ。雷と氷はもうたくさんだ。私はお前たちを行かせよう。お前たちはもうとどまってはならない。モーセは彼に言った。私が町を出たらすぐに主に向かって手を差し伸べて手を伸べ広げましょう。そうすれば雷は止み、氷はもう降らなくなりましょう。この地が主のものであるのをあなたが知るためです。しかし、あなたとあなたの家人はまだ神である主を恐れていないことを私は知っています。アマと大麦は打ち倒された。大麦は頬を出し、アマはつぼみをつけていたからである。しかし、小麦とスペルと小麦は打ち倒されなかった。これらは実るのが遅いからである。モーセはパロのところを去り、町を出て主に向かって両手を伸べ広げた。すると雷と氷は止み、雨はもう、地に降らなくなった。パロは雨と氷と雷が止んだのを見たとき、またも罪を犯し、彼とその家臣たちは強情になった。パロの心は堅くなになり、彼はイスラエル人を行かせなかった。主はモーセを通して言われた通りである。Then the Lord said to Moses, Go to Pharaoh, for I have hardened his heart and the hearts of his officials, that I may perform these miraculous signs among them, that you may tell your children and your grandchildren how I dealt harshly with the Egyptians, how I performed signs among them, that you may know that I am the Lord. So Moses and Aaron went to Pharaoh and said to him, This is what the Lord, the God of the Hebrews, says, How long will you refuse to humble yourself before me? Let my people go so that they may worship them. If you refuse to let them go, I will bring locusts into your country tomorrow. They will cover the face of the ground, that it cannot be seen. They will devour what little you have after the hail, including every tree that is growing in your fields. They will fill your houses and those of all your officials and all the Egyptians, something neither your fathers nor your forefathers have ever seen from the day they settled in this land till now. Then Moses turned and left Pharaoh. Pharaoh's officials said to him, How long will this man be a snare to us? Let my people go so that they may worship the Lord their God. Do you not yet realize that Egypt is ruined? That Moses and Aaron were brought back to Pharaoh. Go worship the Lord your God, he said. But just who will be going? Moses said, We will go with our young and old, with our sons and daughters, and with our flocks and herds, because we are to celebrate a festival to the Lord. The Pharaoh said, The Lord be with you. If I let you go, along with your women and children, clearly you are bent on evil. No, have only the men go. Worship the Lord, since that's what you have been asking for. Then Moses and Aaron were driven out of Pharaoh's presence. And the Lord said to Moses, Stretch out your hand over Egypt, so that locusts will swarm over the land and devour everything growing in the fields and everything left by hail. So Moses stretched out his staff over Egypt, and the Lord made an east wind blow across the land all the day and all the night. By morning the wind had brought the locusts. They invaded all Egypt and settled down in every area of the country in great numbers. Never before had there been such a plague of locusts, nor will there ever be again. They covered all the ground till it was black. They devoured all that was left after the hail. Everything growing in the fields and the fruit on the trees. Nothing green remained on a tree or plant in all the land of Egypt. Pharaoh quickly summoned Moses and Aaron and said, I have sinned against the Lord your God and against you. Now forgive my sin once more and pray to the Lord your God to take this deadly plague away from me. Moses then left Pharaoh and prayed to the Lord. And the Lord changed the wind to a very strong west wind, which caught up the locusts and carried them into the Red Sea. Not a locust was left anywhere in Egypt, but the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart, and he would not let the Israelites go. Then the Lord said to Moses, Stretch out your hand towards the sky, so that darkness will spread over Egypt, darkness that can be felt. So Moses stretched out his hand toward the sky, and total darkness covered all Egypt for 3 days. No one could see anyone else or leave his place for 3 days. Yet all the Israelites had a light in the places where they lived. Then Pharaoh summoned Moses and said, Go worship the Lord. Even your women and children may go with you. Only leave your flocks and herds behind. But Moses said, You must allow us to have sacrifices and burnt offerings to present to the Lord our God. Our livestock too must go with us. Not a hoof is to be left behind. We have to use some of them in worshiping the Lord our God. And until we get there, we will not know what we are to use to worship the Lord. But the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart, and he was not willing to let them go. And Pharaoh said to Moses, Get out of my sight. Make sure you do not appear before me again. The day you see my face, you will die. Just as you say, Moses replied, I will never appear before you again. And now the Lord had said to Moses, I will bring one more plague on Pharaoh and on Egypt. After that, he will let you go from here. And when he does, he will drive you out completely. Tell the people and the men and the women alike that are to ask their neighbors and for the articles of silver and gold. The Lord made the Egyptians favorably disposed towards the people, and Moses himself was highly regarded in Egypt by Pharaoh's officials and by the people. So Moses said, This is what the Lord says, About midnight I will go throughout Egypt. Every firstborn son in Egypt will die, from the firstborn son of Pharaoh who sits on the throne to the firstborn son of the slave girl who is at her handmill, and all the firstborn of the cattle as well. There will be loud wailing throughout Egypt, worse than there has ever been or ever will be again. But among the Israelites not a dog will bark at any man or animal. Then you will know that the Lord makes a distinction between Egypt and Israel. All those officials of yours will come to me, bowing down before me and saying, Go, and you and all the people follow you. After that I will leave. Then Moses, hot with anger, left Pharaoh. The Lord had said to Moses, Pharaoh will refuse to listen to you, so that my wonders may be multiplied in Egypt. Moses and Aaron performed all these wonders before Pharaoh, but the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart. He would not let the Israelites go out of the country.主はモーセに仰せられた。パウのところに行け。私は彼とその家臣たちを強情にした。それは私のこれらの印を彼らの中に行うためであり、私がエジプトに対して力を働かせたあのことを、また私が彼らの中で行った印をあなた方が息子や孫に語って聞かせるためであり、私が主であることをあなた方が知るためである。モーセとアロンはパロのところに行って彼に言った。ヘブル人の神、主はこうおせられます。いつまで私の前に身を低くすることを拒むのか。私の民を生かせよ。彼らを私に使わせよう。もしあなたが私の民を生かせることを拒むなら、見よ、私は明日、イナゴをあなたの領土に送る。イナゴが地の表に覆い、地は見えなくなる。また、氷の害を免れて、あなた方に残されているものを食い尽くし、野に生えているあなた方の木を皆食い尽くす。また、あなたの家とすべての家臣の家、および全エジプトの家に満ちる。このようなことはあなたの先祖たちも、そのまた先祖たちも彼らが地上にあった日から今日に至るまでかつて見たことのないものであろう。こうして彼は身を隠してパロの元を去った。家臣たちはパロに言った。いつまでこの者は私たちを陥れるのですか。この男たちを生かせ。彼らの神、主に使わせてください。エジプトが滅びるのがまだお分かりにならないのですから。モーセとアロンはパロのところに連れ戻された。パロは彼らに言った。行け、お前たちの神、主に、使えよ。だが、一体誰が行くのか。モーセは答えた。私は若い者や年寄りも連れて行きます。息子や娘も一の胸も牛の胸も連れて行きます。私たちは主の祭りをするのですから。パロは彼らに言った。私がお前たちとお前たちの幼子たちと行かせてくれるくらいなら、主はお前たちと共にあるように、とてもいいよ。見よ、悪意はお前たちと。あれ